Discussions, real answers, face to face, Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. on TV1.
The duty of the youth is to challenge corruption. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today is Road to General Elections 2024. We are just a few weeks away from the all-important general elections which is scheduled to be held on the 14th of November. We've invited 4 guests to our studios representing several political parties to know what their policies, what their manifestos are with regard to the election, so you can make a wise decision at the polling booth on the 14th of November. We've invited Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council, also the leader of the United Freedom Front, as well as a former governor of the Uva province, Attorney at Law Tharaka Nanayakkara, representing the Samik Jana Balawegaya, Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage, representing the People's Struggle Alliance, who is also the leader of the party, and as well as Winston Pathiraja, National People's Party, representing the Colombo District at the 14th of November general elections. To pose questions from our panelists this evening, on to my immediate right is Newsfirst, Consultant Director at Newsfirst, as well as independent journalist Shihar Aneez. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to send in your messages via WhatsApp is 076 656 5353. The number once again 076 656 5353. Let's get the ball rolling with the President's Council, Maithri Gunaratne, representing the United Freedom Front. He will also be contesting the upcoming elections from the Colombo District. Maithri, there are over 50, nearly 50 independent and known political parties representing the Colombo District this time around at the 14th November elections. How confident are you to win the elections this time around?
Very confident, Samir, because the simple reason people were disgusted with the last 225 in Parliament, and I feel they'll be replaced with another 175 new members of Parliament at this election. So therefore, we stand a very good chance because we are new candidates. It's a new party, and people would want to vote for new candidates this time round. And the last presidential election, you could see the party lines or the party vote blocks have completely been disrupted. Now the JVP, which had only 350,000 votes, got 57 lakhs. The SLPP, which had 69 lakhs, came down to 3.5 lakhs. So there is a complete turnaround of the voter and the way they are thinking. And I feel now they are looking more at the candidate or at the individual than the party. Because mainly the main political parties have failed the country, driven us to bankruptcy. So therefore now the voter is looking for good candidates. And I hope it remains that, because that is the only way we can take this country forward.
Maithri, I beg to differ with your analogy with regard to people looking for new faces, because if you look at the last elections, we see Annakumara Dissanayake representing the JVP, who held the post of leader for many, many years in the JVP, and then who formed the NPP, won the elections at the last presidential election. So people are looking for some faces that they would know who they could rely on, and yes, who people could be served at the end of the day, isn't it? Isn't that going to be an important equation at this election?
Mr. Annakumara Dissanayake, whatever said and done, his policies were quite consistent, and during the run-up to the last presidential election, he purposely chose not to take any discarded politicians to his camp. Whereas the other political parties openly invited them with open arms. They were taken in and they ruined their whole election campaign. Now, I know there were several people who were in the past Parliament who wanted to join the NPP, but they were flatly refused. So they maintained a line and length where they said, no, we are going it anew. We are the NPP, so we don't want baggage here. So much to say, and that worked, because otherwise the way I saw Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, what he did for the country and all that, he gained a lot of votes, but at one stage he accepted 90 of the SLPP guys into his party, and that, I think, sent him down the precipice with regard to the election. But notwithstanding that, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who got about 250,000 votes in the parliamentary election in 2019, ended up getting about 2.7 million votes in the presidential election. So there was a significant gain, but I think he lost it because all of these people started accommodating rejected and failed MPs from the SLPP in their respective parties, and the only party which didn't do it was the NPP, and that's why I feel that they were partially successful.
So Maithri, when you look at the sentiments that are being expressed by mainly opposition political party representatives at political fora, you see them talking about being elected to parliament to form a strong opposition.
Yeah.
Do you, in your opinion, believe that the opposition has already got defeated at the 14th November elections, and they know that the NPP would form a government with a resounding majority, and henceforth the only option left right now for them is to be in the opposition camps?
No, Samir, with the LPTA election, it is manifestly clear that the NPP does not have the 50% or the 51% they are seeking to get. And although their top leaders have asked for 5/6 majority, 2/3 majority, and some are saying send all 225 from the NPP to Parliament, these are their requests. Notwithstanding those requests, the people of LPTA have only given them 47%. So they are walking on a very, very thin edge. They are walking on a very thin edge. And I must say, Samir, this 1 month's performance of the NPP, I am disappointed. I expected much more. There were small, exposures which have not brought much results. Now, what is his plan?
But Rome was not built in a day.
No, correct.
But it takes some time. But he has just been appointed as the president a few weeks ago.
Point is, Samir, if Rome was not built in 1 day, but people saw the plans which were available for the building of Rome. But we don't see any plans. What I feel is he's still running on the petrol which has been pumped by Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. When it stalls, or if it stalls someday, what is his plan? That is our issue. They don't have a plan. So if there is no plan, Samir, I mean, I feel within another 2-3 months, if they don't get the act together, we are going to go into an economic crisis. Now, once again, American government issued a travel warning. Now, a travel warning is, when the American government issues a travel warning, Samir, it's as good as a travel ban. Right? So when this type of thing happens, the country, the tourism industry takes a massive dip, because one travel ban, we are coming into the December season. December, January, February, March, April was predicted to be one of the best seasons we are going to have. Now, with this travel ban, what is going to happen is we are going to going for a nosedive. So these should have been prevented. Once you are in government, you can't come with excuses. You have to prevent this. And the American, I mean, normally the American or any foreign government would have discussed it with our intelligence sources. That's the proper way to do it. Instead of issuing a travel warning without even informing our security forces. So these are issues. I don't know whether they are tackling the diplomatic circles properly, and these are things to be seen in the future.
Very quickly, Maithri, before getting into active politics, many decades ago, you've been a strong critic of politics in Sri Lanka as a whole, even before that. In your opinion, come 14th of November, what would be the split like in terms of the general election and the parliamentary seats that you would be expecting?
With LPT elections speaks for itself. The LPT elections, the NPPS,
What do you reckon? What do you reckon?
I feel it will be.
Will we see something what happened in 1977, where the UNP administration got a resounding victory?
No.
Is that going to be repeated again on 14th of November?
I don't think. If that was to be repeated, it would have been repeated at the LPT election, or the LPT election would have shown that result. But today, Samir, I mean, I don't like to say this, but people are very fast getting disappointed with the current president's performance after one month after his assuming office.
Thank you very much. President's Counsel Maithri Gunaratne, leader of the United Freedom Front, as well as former governor of the Uva province. I now move my attention towards Attorney at Law Tharaka Nanayakkara, representing the SJB. Tharaka, I have to ask you this question. You may want to duck it, but I expect an answer. But it is not necessary for you to answer that question anyway. Tharaka, now the SJB was looking at strong youth. We saw Wikramatne recently speaking to the media said they want to give prominence to
Does he call himself
women.
a youth?
He want to give prominence to the youth. He want to give prominence to the youth.
Young as you, I think.
He wanted to give prominence to the youth and women, and he wanted to not contest the election as well. Now, Tharaka, you are representing the SJB, and you fall into the category of youth, in my opinion. Why did you chicken out from contesting the elections?
Shamir, firstly, thank you for having me as usual. And no, there was not a question of chickening out because I was not an organizer. Now, in an established political party like the SJB, the nominations of a district, I represented the Galle district, and in 2020, after our candidate, Honorable Sajid Premadasa, lost the presidential election, I was the organizer for Habaradu electorate, which Mr. Gunaratne also represented some time back, and we contested. I contested, and only 2 MPs got elected from our side out of 9 MPs. The rest of the 7 went to the SLPP, and I was the 5th in that list. But thereafter, I decided to resign from my post of chief organizer of Habaradu electorate in 2020 and shifted my political activities to the party center, where I am the deputy legal secretary of the party and also the chair of the Young Lawyers Association, and also I overlooked the youth campaign in the last presidential elections. So my role essentially shifted from a district-based role to a party center role, where I played a bit of a behind the scene, I mean, as in not to contest. So had I been an organizer, yes, I would have definitely contested, but out
Don't you
of 12
think you at
candidates,
least deserve to be the national list of the party? Because you said that in 2020, you started supporting the centre.
Yeah.
And those who have not supported the centre for that long is in the SJB national list. If you want me to name a few, I can do that as
no,
well.
Shamir, I believe that's the decision of the party, and
you didn't want to.
no, that is generally national
part
list
of the national
nominations. Shamir is a decision of the party, and I had never expressed any intention of getting in the national list, to be very frank with you. And I don't know whether that would have been considered favorably or not.
It seems like there is a split within the SJB.
No,
as well.
definitely not. Because when it comes to me, I was offered nominations. If I had I wanted to run, I would have had the option to run. And as I said, I never wanted to be nominated in the national list, and I never made any such request. So I think the party have nominated a very solid list of 29 people, which we fully support. There is no split at all, Shami.
Right. You say the party is not split. But tell me what happened in Ratnapura with regard to this tipexing of an artist's name from the list in the Ratnapura district. I think all of us are aware who the artist is, and all of us are well aware who the district leader of Ratnapura was. What exactly happened? If there is no split, because she went on to give interviews to the media saying that Anurakumara Disanayake would be a better leader to lead the country than Sajid Premadasa as well.
Now,
why all this?
There's something called sour grapes, no? So I'm sure she's upset. And had she, I don't know the background story because I was not involved in the nomination list preparations of Ratnapura district, so I honestly don't know the true story. However, if someone was promised nominations, it should have been given. That is, I mean, I don't shy away from saying that if someone has been, I mean, if the party has told someone, okay, you're going to run for this district and get ready, it's not fair. But I don't know, having said that, I don't know whether that was the situation or not.
Right. So, did this happen with the consent of the General Secretary of the party, or did it happen on the own accord of the Ratnapura district leader? Because there seems to be some
I can tell you this, Shamir,
conflict of opinions here.
The national, the electoral list, nomination list, are finally signed off by the General Secretary of any party. That much I can tell you. But however, the final list is always the candidate comment. I mean, but this is not a new occurrence. Now,
but you don't expect that from a party like the SJB, right?
This is what I'm trying to say. So the final authority of signing off the electoral list or the candidates list lies with the party and the General Secretary, and I'm sure there would have been reasons if the district leader objected or whatever. There should have been reasons, and which I am not privy to. But I stand by the point that if you are committed to someone, okay, fine, you get ready, you go and run here, then denying nominations at the 11th hour is not reasonable. However, having said that, the particular person you are referring to has also been going around bashing the party leader, General Secretary, all that. That is also not the way to politics.
People are people. They are full of emotions.
Now you ask me a question. You put words in my mouth and you ask me, you should have been in the national list, and you are putting me up on the pedestal. But I genuinely believe, because I am a staunch SJB at heart, I believe that this party...
No, I'm not trying to put you on a pedestal.
No,
I'm
thank you very much. But
you come with a political background. Your father was involved in national politics in Sri Lanka and was a governor at one point as well. So your father was involved in politics. So automatically, when you see a list from a political party, you expect the son to be contesting at the election as well. But that did not happen.
That I don't think, Shamir, because now I'm one of the examples where I can't say I have benefited from my father's political capital, because when I started politics from the UNP, my father was not there. He was in a different political party, and I was involved in the student politics. I rose to the position of the National Secretary of the youth wing of the UNP, then I joined the SJB. So all my politics has been independent of my father, and if at all, at certain points I have been criticized for no fault of mine, that my father and I belong to two different camps. So I don't think being a political figure, son of a political figure, is a reason to be included in a nomination list.
So just getting back into the Ratnapura district incident. So the General Secretary of the party attending a press conference right after this nomination was signed and submitted, looked very oblivion to what exactly happened. Now you say it's the General Secretary's ultimate decision. So did that happen with the consent of the General Secretary of the party?
That you have to ask either the General Secretary or the district leader, because I'm not privy to what happened. But having said that, you finalize 22 nomination lists, 22 districts overnight. Because parties like SJB, we hand over nominations on one particular day. We decide to hand over on general practice, I'm telling you. As I said, I'm not privy to what happened that night. So it is not as simple as you say. You finalize 22 districts, roughly about 200 odd candidates or a little more. So it is a tedious job. And removal of a candidate can happen for a lot of reasons, and as I said, this is not the first time, this wouldn't be the last time. However, if someone has been promised, it's not fair.
Right. Tharaka, just to understand, we spoke about father-son politics, and I brought that issue up to you, but I want to ask a follow-up question on that. If you look at the NPP's list, you see a son contesting from the Colombo District and the father contesting from the Kalutara District. You see the husband contesting from the Maithri District, wife contesting from the Colombo District, from the NPP. Now, this is something that the NPP has over and over again criticized, saying that nepotism should not be there, family rule should not be there. What does all this indicate? Because is this what the people really want from a political party who came in to bring in that change?
Shamir, I think again it's a question of old wine in a new bottle, because NPP, as you very correctly pointed out, were vehemently against dynastical politics. They said if just because your father is in politics, you should not bring the children and all that, to which I wholeheartedly agree, because I can, without any reservation, agree to that, because wherever I have come in politics, I have come up the hard way. I have started at the bottom of the United National Party and rose up to this level of National Secretary of the Youth, then organizer, all that. So just because you come from a political dynasty, it should not be a qualification. However, JVP made it a disqualification. So did the NPP, and Dr. Nihala Abeyasinghe, the General Secretary of the NPP, is contesting from Kalutara, whereas his son, my good friend Chaturanga Abeyasinghe, a young politician for whom I have some respect for, is contesting in Colombo. I feel both gentlemen have earned the opportunity to run. There's no problem. But you must walk the talk. Now, if NPP says no dynastical politics, you can't, father and son cannot do politics, husband and wife, you can't do politics, when the husband dies, wife cannot come into politics, then it's not fair or proper for them to field candidates from the same family. Not only, I mean, I'll mention the names, I don't think there's nothing to shy away from that. Honorable Sunil Hadunethi, former Member of Parliament, is running from Maithri, and his wife is running from Colombo. So these are indications that NPP is also falling in line with the so-called corrupt systems, which is actually going to affect their voter base, I believe, because people voted for them expecting a change and out of anger. They have taken out the anger, because the NPP's rhetoric or the narrative they brought, 76 years curse. The country has been ruined by each political party put together in 76 years. Worked very well because people were frustrated. There was economic pressures, there was social pressures, all this, and then they voted for that. Now bringing in fresh values,
right.
But they are not following those values, so that raises a big question.
Right. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Tharaka Nanayakkara, representing the SJB. Tharaka has been on the show several times, and nice to have you back on the show, Tharaka. I now move attention towards Nuwan Bopage, leader of the People's Struggle Alliance. Attorney at Law, Nuwan, you were only able to get 11,000 votes at the last general elections. Presidential elections.
Yes.
Presidential elections. Thanks, Neeraj. Presidential elections. How confident are you to get at least one seat in the entire country? Because if you look at the numbers, you have to at least get 68,000 votes to get one nationalist seat. With 11,000 votes in your kitty at the last presidential elections, do you think you all have any hope?
Before answering, just to rectify, I am Colombo District leader, so not the party leader. Yeah, of course, we can't discuss it out of the context. Presidential election, of course, it was a battle between two parties that time, that is SJB and NPP. So people generally like to vote a candidate who's having possibility of winning. So therefore people voted, the vote base actually divided into SJB and NPP, and the President Ranil Wickremesinghe was also, he was the president by that time, so he was able to get some considerable vote. So in the presidential election, actually we contested based on a policy. We wanted to bring a policy into the table. So basically NPP, SJB and Ranil Wickremesinghe, that gas cylinder, they all had similar policies regarding the economy, regarding the IMF, regarding the Indian intervention, US intervention. So more or less they were similar. Their agendas and their manifestos are concerned. So what our objective was by that time to bring an alternative policy to the table. So we were able to do that. So we were campaigning and we did our everything to bring that alternative policy. For instance, we discuss here as well as to how bring a new economic model and as to how we exit from IMF. At the same time, how we face the Indian and US intervention. Those are completely alternative path. So actually we are happy. We were success. We were able to bring these dialogues to the table. So general election, it's different. General election, we having a good team. We are contesting for all the country, for all the districts. And at the same time, we can't forget one thing. During the presidential election, people gave a message that for last 75 years, there are two main establishment parties that rule the country. So people wanted to bring a new party who did not rule the country. That should be applicable to general election as well. What we are asking from the people, we should change the opposition as well. So if you change the government into a new political party.
So you all have already accepted defeat, that you all won't be able to hold government office. You all are only looking for a seat in the opposition.
What we believe opposition means that now Andrew Kumar Dissanayake is the president. So there is a possibility them to get a majority vote. Even they
How many votes?
If even they could secure that 42%, that means they can get around 100 seats in the parliament. 105. So when we have to be very rational and practical. So in that, what we believe, the other thing is merely because we are saying that give us opposition. What we believe, opposition means what? Then if there's a failure of government, of course we have to take over that. So we believe that we have that confidence because for last 5-6 years, we were able to build that real opposition outside the parliament.
So Nuwan,
outside the parliament.
Nuwan, you very clearly articulate how political parties have to be rational. And when I asked you a question about why 11,000 seats and how could that be increased to 68,000, you say it was a two-horse race at the last presidential election. It was between the SJB and the NPP. What was the rationalization of you contesting the elections if you all clearly knew that you all won't have a place at the presidential polls?
You are asking about the presidential?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That's why I said during the presidential election, what we want to bring this alternative policy debate to the table, because more or less all the other parties are similar, same policy. We only came up with an alternative policy.
So are you satisfied the way in which the NPP has carried out governance in the last few weeks? Because Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council, said he's not happy, he's not content. What about the PSA?
First of all, within 1 year, one month period of time, we can't seek miracles. We can't seek miracles. But even prior to this election result, what we raised, if the policy that you are going to carry it out in your manifesto is the policy after the victory, nothing will be changed. So after analyzing 1 month time, I am not going to tell that they can't do anything, they are failed. But if you carefully go through their manifesto, that is pro-neoliberal manifesto, pro-IMF manifesto, for Indian American intervention manifesto, if that is so, you can't change anything, because now currently whatever these agonies facing by the people, a result of this certain policies, this market-based economy policy. So therefore, what we believe, even prior to the presidential election, what the dialogue we brought to the attention of the people, nothing will be changed even the NPPs go ahead with this their manifesto.
So, very quickly, before I move to Winston Pathiraja, the NPP promised heaven and earth prior to the presidential elections. They said that they would renegotiate the IMF deal, which is yet to be seen. We all know that they have agreed to the IMF principles and they don't want to withdraw from the DSA. And then just yesterday we saw how the Presidential Secretariat Director for Legal, Mr. Vijay Bandara, who said that it is not, this is an issue, the issue was about the misuse of the PT against civil activists and journalists, which we will not allow. However, he went on to note that the current PTA would be kept.
Yes.
So a lot of reversals, and we've seen these U-turns over and over again, Nuwan. And why?
Certainly, that's why we are asking from the people, we need a strong alternative opposition, because that's what happened throughout the history. Once you get the power, you are not ready to meet the promise, you are not ready to accomplish the aspiration of the people. Presidential election result is a reflection that people had a good aspiration to change the entire system. As you said, as far as democracy is concerned, economy is concerned, people need a system change. But now we feel there are indications they can't do it.
Right.
That's why we are asking, we need a alternative, actually a strong opposition. That opposition is not the SJB or other party, because they have already proved that they can't do the duty of the opposition.
Right. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage. I now move my attention towards Winston Pathiraja, National People's Party. Winston, you've changed political parties more faster than changing clothes. You were with the UNP, then you were with the National Movement for Social Justice. Now you are with the National People's Party. What is going on in your political life?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come before you all. And I know that this particular session is very good, that you are bringing good people before the people. And they know the potential candidates are coming in. That's a good thing. Now, the question that you asked, it's true that I was in the United National Party. I was a civil administrative service from the Sri Lanka Administrative Service. And once I retired, and I found at that time, UNP was the best party, and I joined them. And I was holding high position there also, working committee member, president of the United Professional Group, and then I was in the nationalist also. So I worked hard. But when the party came to zero in 2019, and I thought my staying there also I also will become zero. So I thought it's better to get out, but I was continuing with my party called Sri Lanka Professional Democratic Front. And this time, as you earlier said, that this is the correct opportunity for all of us, that is professionals, to come in to contest election, because the people are waiting for the educated and experienced people to come in. So now, my coming from UNP and joining the NPP, National People's Party, is not that I'm just jumping from one place to the other like other politicians. But I stick to my own ideas. That my idea is to see that we have good governance in this country. There should be a level playing field for all the people to live as equals in a country like this. So that was our aim. But I found that National People's Party, the leader of which is Mr. Manjuni Shankar, and then...
Not Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake?
No.
NPP?
No, it's not NPP. Don't confuse. NPP is something else, and National People's Party is another thing.
No, you said, Winston, that you chose the best political party at that time, and it was the UNP. two political parties. You were the national organizer of the National Movement for Social Justice as well.
No, that is not a political party. That's a civil society movement
Which was led by
founded by
Karujai Surya.
Madhulavi Sobita Hamaduru.
Which is now led by Karujai Surya.
His chairman is Karujai, and I was the national organizer there also because I was very much involved in the constitutional reform. As you know, I think the Lal Vijayanagara committee.
Because based on what you're saying, Winston, a couple of years from now, you may say the National People's Party was not the best option for the country, and you may go in to support another political party if you are elected to Parliament through the National People's Party, and people in Sri Lanka want to put a full stop to politicians crossing over from political party to political party. What assurance can you give that you won't cross over?
It is not at all. That first and foremost, we must get into Parliament. That is the most important thing.
You're not even confident about Parliament?
Yeah, we have to get into Parliament.
You all are not even confident to get into Parliament?
Yeah, we are confident. But we have already proved that LPTS seat, we got one. Whereas many other parties couldn't get a single one. No, we got it. So that is a blessing in disguise for us to go forward. So now our position is, we will go to Parliament, we will try to be in the opposition, and then say what the government does is correct. We will say that is correct, and if something else that is not good for the people, we will reject.
So you're saying the LPTA vote was not something that people mistook for the NPP, National People's Power, but it was purely for your political party. You all took approximately around 500
votes. 523 votes or something like that we got. And I must tell you this, our leader, Manju and then Srinath Pereira, you know Srinath Pereira is a lawyer and President Council, and we have been having no black mark on us. As far as I am concerned, I am having a very clean sheet. Same thing with Srinath Pereira also. But only thing is, once we get this position, when we get into Parliament, we will decide at that time according to the situation what is happening. Now when we get to Parliament, there will be different situation that may arise. So at that time we will decide as to what to do.
Thank you very much, Winston Pathiraja from the National People's Party. Winston is contesting the upcoming elections from the National People's Party from the Colombo District. We now move our attention to our journalist to pose questions. On to my immediate right, as I said before, is Niresh Thambi, Consultant Director at Newsfirst. On to my immediate left is Shiharani's independent journalist joining us on the show tonight. I want to give Shihar an opportunity, but Shihar, just one question I want to ask Tharaka before I move on to you. Tharaka, Nuwan made an allegation against the SJB and said SJB is not the opposition that people are looking for. So that's a serious allegation because
small, exposures, which have not brought much results. Now, what is his plan?
But Rome was not built in a day.
No, correct.
But it takes some time. But he has just been appointed as the president a few weeks ago.
Point is, Samir, Rome was not built in one day, but people saw the plans which were available for the building of Rome. But we don't see any plans. What I feel is he's still running on the petrol which has been pumped by Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. When it stalls, or if it stalls someday, what is his plan? That is our issue. They don't have a plan. So if there is no plan, Samir, I feel within another 2-3 months, if they don't get the act together, we are going to go into an economic crisis. Now, as he once again, as he got in, American government issued a travel warning. Now, what travel warning is, when the American government issues a travel warning, Samir, it's as good as a travel ban. Right? So when this type of thing happens, the country, the tourism industry takes a massive dip, because one
கண்டறிந்து அதற்கான சரியான திட்டங்களை அமைத்து கேகாலை மாவட்டத்திலே குறிப்பாக நீங்கள் கூறியது போன்று ருவான்வெள்ளி அதே போன்று எட்டியாந்தோட்டை தர்ணியகளை பிரதேசத்தில் வாழ்கின்ற
අත්වත් අපිට බෝනස් එක හම්බ වෙනවානේ 10ක් වෙනවා.
සම්බන්ධ වුණාට ආයිබෝන් නේද මහත්මයා. හෙළ වෙදදුරු වත වැඩසටහනේ අපි හැමදාම සූදානම් වෙන්නේ සහ අපි හැමදාම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරන්නේ අපේ වෙදකම අපේකම අනාගත පරම්පරාවට කොහොමද දෙන්නේ කියන එක. ඒකට ඔබට සුබ නිමිත්තක් තමයි අද දවසේ පහළ වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ තමයි අමිල සංජීව වෙද මහත්මයා ඊ타ත්ම කැමැත්තෙන් ඉන්නවා අනාගත පරම්පරාවට අපේ පාරම්පරික වෙදකම කියලා දෙන්න. ඒ අත්බෙහෙත්
මම හිතන්නේ 58ක් 60ක් විතර දේශපාලනේ නෑ දැන්. ඡන්දෙට එන්නෙත් නෑ. සජිබෙත් එහෙමයි වුණාද කට්ටිය?
නෑනේ.
නෑ. හරි. මේ 9 හෝ 10 අතර ආචාර්ය හර්ෂ සිල්වා නොතිබෙන හේතුවක් නෑ.
ඒක
ජනයයිද මොකද්ද ඔබ
forget about it.
Tharaka, talking about the SJB, in the Sri Lankan history of politics, when you lose 2 presidential elections, you will never be able to get into the saddle again to become the president of the country. Unless otherwise it's a miracle like how Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected as the president of the country. Given this fact, let's say hypothetically the SJB is not able to create and garner a majority in parliament, would that mean it's going to be the end for Sajid Premadasa as the leader of the SJB?
No, I don't think so, Shamir, because we had to look at the context again. And he's the second most popular person in the country when you take the presidential elections result. And he's leading the second largest party set up in these elections. And the result, come what may, we believe that we will have a considerable number of seats looking at the result we had, and we have the opportunity of leading an entire opposition which would, if I'm being very hopeful, forgive me, but which would outnumber the number of members in the government. Even if we assume, without conceding that NPP wins, looking at the presidential election result and looking at the LPT election result, the local government election result,
no, if you look at the LPT local government election results, larger. 15 was for the so that's a serious allegation, because the SJB leadership has been in the opposition for some time now, and to know that they won't be the proper alternative is quite worrying, isn't it?
Shamir, thank you for posing that question. I was in fact intending to respond to that when I get the opportunity. Now, you see, SJB is a fresh political party which gained 54 seats in 2020, the first general election it contested. And Honorable Sajid Premadasa, as the leader of opposition, when the country was facing a threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, was the first one to advocate closing of borders. Then as a party, SJB was the first political party to urge the government of the day, I believe President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government, to venture out to seek possibilities of getting IMF assistance to get us out of the economic crisis. And thereafter, which was flatly refused at that point, but when they started applying for support of the IMF, as a responsible opposition, we supported it. And when the IMF agreements came into Parliament, we offered constructive criticism, but we supported it in principle. I believe the duty of an opposition is not to oppose every move of a government, but to pick and choose your battles where the government is at fault, or if the government is taking the country in a wrong direction, it is the responsibility of the opposition to bring it to the public discussion, to oppose it in Parliament, to attempt to defeat any legislation which are not for the benefit of the country. That is the role of the opposition, and I feel SJB is the fittest party to do that, because the people of this country, as opposed to my learned friend Nuwan's party, has placed a lot of faith. Because when the president...
Your opposition leader, when he was in opposition, he has asked around 638 questions in Parliament and responded, but that doesn't qualify him to lead the opposition in the next round of elections.
Does it matter? Because Shamir, question time is in the Westminster practice of parliaments all over. Question time is an essential, an integral part of parliamentary democracy, right? And it is through question time that the opposition gets the ministers of the government to account for their actions. So the number of questions, if the higher it is, the better it is. I believe it's an allegation brought against Honorable Sajith Premadasa, that he's been wasting parliamentary time for questions.
Right.
But no, that is his
November.
Public duty.
Right. So Tharaka, 14th of November, you're 100% sure Sajith Premadasa is going to be the leader of the opposition?
No, you asked me whether we are fit and proper to be in the opposition, and you asked me to respond to one question. No, we are seeking power. No, clearly, we are seeking power because when you take the presidential election result, His Excellency the President Andra Kumara Disanayaka, or I don't know, Comrade Andra Kumara Disanayaka, but I would use the standard term, obtained only 42.3%. And the opposition collectively, including SJB, Honorable Ranil Wickramasinghe, my dear friend Nuwan, all of the entire opposition obtained around about 57% of the national vote. And this is the first instance, ever since presidency was introduced and ever since the first presidential election in 1982 in Sri Lanka, this is the first instance where a successful candidate failed to obtain 50% plus one vote. And therefore, we must not forget that whilst congratulating President Disanayaka for his victory, we must not forget that 57% of the national electorate are not happy with this government, with the president. And those people will essentially go and vote against the president. And this is not a race with two horses. This is where every vote will have an effect. Even if a particular political party cannot secure a seat in a particular district, the national cumulative vote will be accounted for in the national.
Nuwan, are you satisfied with Tharaka's response with regard to Sajith Premadasa is good enough to lead the opposition?
Of course not, because now not only me, their own leaders always criticizing him. He's not a capable leader.
Which own leaders?
Yeah, Gampaha District.
Gampaha District organizer, Honorable Ajit Manna Perum. I don't want to criticize him personally, but we know where he stood during the election and before elections.
Yes.
But you can criticize, but don't say our leaders have criticized. If you say, please point the names.
Let me to conclude with
please point the names.
So their own leaders saying that he's not a capable leader.
Please point the names there, because none of the SJB candidates or
Second
SJB,
thing is, now as you correctly pointed out, he has been in the opposition for a period of time. he was in the Yahapana government over a period of time. Ultimately, what they could gain for the sake of people? Nothing. So when Ranil Wickremesinghe is there, when Ranil Wickremesinghe is imposing certain taxation, imposing certain draconian laws, what they did as opposition? Nothing. Ultimately, they were unable to exercise, they were unable to do whatever needful things for the sake of people. Therefore, they have proved that they are not in a position to, they are not capable enough to do the role of the opposition.
If I can just respond in a minute, each draconian law that was brought in, including the Rehabilitation Council, which I appeared at the special determination, which was more or less scrapped by the Supreme Court, and also the online safety bill, each draconian law that was proposed to be brought was challenged by the SJB along with the other parties, and that allegation is not true.
So the online safety bill, Tharaka, because you mentioned about it, we saw how Kavina Jayawardena, who initially voted against the bill later on in June this year, prior to the presidential election, said that he wished he voted in favor of the bill in question as well.
I'm sure it's a personal remark, you'll have to question him, but as a party, we opposed it, and we stood by that position, that our party position regarding that has not changed.
Inside the parliament, during the parliament, that vote, they voted in favor of OSA.
No, I don't think they voted in favor.
Yes.
What Samir pointed out was that a certain MP said that he wished he voted in favor, maybe it's because of a personal issue of harassment or whatever.
Thank you, Tharaka. Let me start with President Council Maithri Gunaratne. You brought an important argument that saying that President Andhra Kumar Dissanayake government's popularity is fading, and people are getting frustrated, right? Now, there are people who say the same thing, whereas others think that he should be given a chance. He should be given a parliament majority. Now, we have seen in the past what happened, whereas the president is one party and the parliament is from another party. Why do you say the popularity is fading, and what are your justification for that?
No, the aspirations of the people were to see some very drastic measures where they are going to develop the country and bring the economy into a flying start. But that cannot be seen. Now, what is the economic plan? There is no economic plan. What are they now? For instance, they are going with the IMF. There is no doubt about it. Although they said that they are going to change it in their manifestos and in their political speeches, today they are going with the IMF 100%. That's fine. We have no problem with regard to that, because we knew when he said he was going to change it that he can't change it. Couldn't have changed it. But if you are going with the IMF, there is a time we have to start paying these loans. So if you are going to pay the loans, we need to up our production. Sri Lanka has to up our production. What is he doing now to increase the production?
But Maithri, is it fair to say this because he is just 1 month in government and with 3-member cabinet without a parliament majority is doing things? Is it fair to say this?
The issue is this: even with 1 member, even if the president was 1 member and he was elected, he can still run this country. All he has to do is to appoint maybe 25 secretaries to the ministries, and through the secretaries you can run the country. Because the secretary is the one who runs the ministry. The ministers are only playing a role that they bring the ministerial, the cabinet paper to the cabinet, and that is the role the ministers and the politicians are playing. But what he could have appointed so many secretaries and kick-started the economy with regard to how we are going to pay these loans. There are so many aspects, so many centers, so many centers he can create. Like for instance, now you take the IT sector. I mean, you take the IT sector, you can make this an IT hub without any problem. Okay, what is the difficulty within this month for him to have harnessed a task force for the IT sector?
No, but we saw in the government's defense, Maithri. We saw how Dr. Hans is going to be brought down to Sri Lanka.
No, Dr. Hans is coming on his own.
Yeah, but
he's on his own on his own accord. Not that they are bringing Dr. Hans.
No, but
Dr. Hans has already today
a pivotal role in the digitization of the country's economy as well. That was told by Anukumar Dissanayake.
That was told by Anukumar Dissanayake, the president. But Samir.
So, but isn't he taking the right steps in the right direction?
So let us we need to see results. You have to have a task force. There are so many centers you can develop in Sri Lanka for the purpose of generating foreign exchange. Now, for instance, tourism.
But are you trying to say that Anukumar Dissanayake does not know to lead the country as the president? Why do I get that feeling?
Well, when I see the because Samir, when you see a person in operation, in performance, right? When you see, for instance, I'll give you an example.
Oh, you're not good, are you?
No, I'm not. But when you see a batsman at the crease, and you know whether he's comfortable or uncomfortable with the bowling. So presently, this is the impression I get. I don't know whether you have something different, but the impression.
Do you have any example to say that this shows his immaturity?
He looks shaky at the crease.
Yeah.
At the crease, he looks great. So, I mean, if you are a star batsman, you can't be shaky at this crease. So what I'm saying is, I feel he's shaky at this crease. And for instance, now he went to the central bank with regard to the IMF and all that. So when he went and when the central bank priced him of all what is happening, none of the promises he could make he was able to do. Then what the budget was supposed to be held in November. He postponed the budget to next year. Why?
No, but the budget couldn't have happened because the appropriation bills has to be brought in.
Yes, so at least postpone it for December, January. Why till next March? So what I'm trying to say, my point is, he's not comfortable at the crease.
Is he very slow? Is that what you're saying? Are you?
No, I as I said before, there is no proper plan, NPP.
So
no proper plan.
So you are defining in a different.
No, NPP is National People's Party.
No proper plan.
That's National People's.
So we have titled it as no proper plan. That is the issue.
So that you can see the same thing with the National People's Party as well.
No, but National People's Party now can't come and say that they are the NPP because they have foregone their right and given it to Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake to call them the
We objected at the right time.
Very interesting thoughts. Now, you say that Sajid Premadasa may win the elections on the 14th of November, and I have to side with you because you are representing the political party and you would always say that he would win. But if you look at the marriages of this sort, let's take a look at 2002, the Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga government and the Ranil Wickremesinghe government. He as the Prime Minister, Chandrika as the President. It was a total disaster. Chandrika Kumaratunga took over a few ministries. As a result of that, there was a collapse in the government. In 2005, Mahinda Rajapaksa was elected as the president of the country. 2015, Maithri Sirasa as the head of the government from the SLFP. He was the chairman of that political party, subsequent to being elected as the president of the country, and then Ranil Wickremesinghe being his deputy from the United National Party. Such a disaster. 2018, we saw the 52-day government coming into play. And then 2019, because of the bad air that was persistent between Maithri Sirasa and Ranil Wickremesinghe, led to the 2019 Easter Sunday bombings as well, because they were not talking to each other. That's what is said, and it's very evident as well.
Samir, if I can, after Tharaka finishes, if I can,
I will give you an opportunity. So these such marriages have not worked in the past. What makes you confident that this time around, with Anukumar Dissanayake representing the NPP and SJB as holding the post of Prime Minister, how confident are you that would be a good mix for the country?
Now, Shamir, you have to look at the context. I believe in 2001, when the UNP won the general elections, President Kumaratunga was the incumbent president who was elected in 99. So there was no way that it could have been changed. However, the economic crisis that Sri Lanka was facing back then, I think for the first time in the history, the economy went down to, the GDP growth went down to a minus 1.8%, which was duly recovered by the UNP government, despite several barriers cast upon by President Kumaratunga's administration, as you said, taking off ministries, all that, but we managed to recover the economy. Then again in 2015...
But that was not felt as a result of that.
Let me come to
that. was felt
in
2000
economic revival, 2001 economic revival was definitely felt, Samir, because the problem there was Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was hoping that that arrangement would continue for 5 years, because there's certain assurances were given.
So you're saying between 2002 to 2005, Ranil Wickremesinghe was able to revive the country's economy.
In 2001, definitely, Chandrika Kumaratunga's government was at minus 1.8%, which was revived by the UNP government, of which Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe was the president. There's no doubt about that.
So Ranil
was the prime minister.
So Ranil Wickremesinghe did so in 2022 as well, but you already want to join hands with him at the last election?
Now, look. That is a political choice. What we say is... when
you just said Tharaka.
No.
2001,
but that is the political choice which cost you the party election.
Look. It's the people's wish. Now, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, if he governed on his own, as the president, it would have been a different story. But when 90 MPs of the SLPP who were directly representing Mr. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government, joined him, and particularly, forget about the MPs that we can deal with, particularly when the Rajapaksas were in that government, we had a problem of conscience in joining that government. Having said that, as a responsible opposition, as I pointed out earlier also, we supported every good move. We did not oppose the IMF deal. We did not take people to the streets. You have seen in the political history, when a government takes a step which is not very popular, the opposition were the first to take people to the streets. We never did that. We gave constructive criticism.
Don't you think, Tharaka, if Sajid Premadasa joined hands with Ranil Wickremesinghe, today Ranil Wickremesinghe would have been the president, and invariably on the 14th of November, Sajid Premadasa would have been the prime minister of the country?
That is a question that will never be answered, Samir, because it never happened, right? And it could have worked, it could have not worked, because NPP might have gained more support. Looking at these two parties joined, they would have said, okay, they are trying to protect their interests by getting together, because we represent different things. Our policies are different to Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe's. For instance, his economic policy and ours, whilst it appears to be similar, we believe in a strong social security, social safety net, whereas Mr. Wickremesinghe's government believes in the trickle-down effect of economic benefits trickling down. When the economy performs well, it trickles down to the poor. But our policies are different. We believe that whilst letting the market forces operate, we must have a strong social security
net.
I'm getting a lot of questions. One point.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions, so I want to first point this question to Maithri. Maithri, you spoke of a star batsman being at the crease, and you said Anukumar Dissanayake looks very shaky. So this question is a follow-up question to that. Is this why you supported Maithripala Sirisena in 2015? Was Maithripala Sirisena a star batsman?
At that time, the choice was between Mahinda Rajapaksa and his dictatorial rule and his robbing the country, as opposed to Mr. Maithripala Sirisena. So Mr. Maithripala Sirisena walked out of that camp, came into the opposition, and the opposition couldn't feel Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe couldn't be the presidential candidate. There was no one else. And the whole opposition got together and backed Mr. Maithripala Sirisena. So we all of us got together and supported him.
But
I'll tell you, at that time, as opposed to Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was a star batsman, born star batsman, Maithripala Sirisena, who was comparatively a new guy, outshone the star batsman and won the presidency.
Yeah,
so the decision I have taken at that time was correct.
But don't you think what transpired, the events that transpired after Maithripala Sirisena was elected president? Let's look at the 52-day government, which was deemed as one of the biggest conspiracies with regard to the country's constitution. And then we saw 2019 Easter bombings that took place on the 21st of April, which is still being discussed and is still is a critical point at the elections. And even the last presidential election, how Maithripala Sirisena initially said that he supported the candidature of Vijayasa Rajapaksa and become the presidential candidate of the SLFP, and then withdrawing and taking a U-turn. And now his son is contesting from the Sarvajana party from the Purnaru district. What is this, all this? No. Aren't you sad that you supported a man like that?
No, I am not sad, because we were able to change or remove Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2015.
But he is the one who offered Maithripala Sirisena the post of Prime Minister in 2018 November.
No, that's correct.
Did he do that or not, Maithri?
He did it, but
did he do it
we were totally against it. We were totally against. We had never advised, and at that time that was the wrong thing to do. And in fact, when he wanted to do it, what we suggested it, give it to the UNP, because give it to Sajid or the UN, because he came.
You were the governor at that time.
No, I was the governor thereafter.
Okay, after that incident. But you were very close to him, right?
No,
you were in the close circle.
2015, we were the first few to get together with him to start his campaign. And then thereafter, when he took this decision, we were totally against it. If he cannot work with Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, we requested him to work with Sajid Premadasa, or if Sajid does not accept it, for him to work with even Rajit Mathum Bandara.
Now you're on the right side.
Now I'm on my side.
Is that the right side?
I'm on my side.
Is that the right side?
No, I'm on my side. The other thing is, Samir, you referred to the Easter bomb. The Easter bomb, Samir, it was, Mr. Maithripala Sirisena as the president has to take a part of the consequence or the responsibility. But that was a total lapse on the part of the security and the intelligence agencies. Now the intelligence agencies got this information. They sat on this information. For 20 days they sat on the information and they didn't take any action. Then that we will leave it aside. Then during the Aralaya, when people came to temple trees and they went and they smashed the Gotago Game, the Aralaya, that area, then IGP Chandana Wickramaratne had very specifically given instructions to Deshabandhu Tennakon, the senior DIG of Colombo, that this is going to happen. This attack is going to take place. What did Deshabandhu do? Deshabandhu completely ignored those instructions and let it happen.
Yeah, so because this is under contention and there's an investigation that's going to happen.
What I'm saying is, Samir,
I presume you take full responsibility for the statement that you're making.
I take full responsibility, because we were responsible in bringing him to court, Deshabandhu to court. So what I'm saying is, Samir, that public officials also need to act with responsibility. They cannot shun away their responsibility. Easter bomb, it was an absolute security mess up.
Right. Nuwan, in your opinion, who championed the 2022 Aralaya in Sri Lanka?
2020.
21. We define it as a radical mass movement.
But championed by whom?
Yes.
Because you have to have the people benefit championing a cause. We've seen that happening right throughout. Who championed? Because your party's name itself is the People Struggle Alliance. Tell me.
Yeah, actually, NPP was able to gain the benefit out of the Aralaya. We have
I'm asking about your party.
Yes.
Who championed the Aralaya?
No, thing is now we
because we saw you in courts. We saw one of your candidates being arrested. There was more talk about that. So I just want to understand who championed it.
Champion means now actually we fully heartedly with the Aralaya, we wanted to protect the Aralaya, and our expectation was through the Aralaya change the system. That's why we fully involved in that. The parties like NPP, they just wanted to get the benefit out of the Aralaya, that wave convert into an election and get the victory of the election. So they were success on that. As far as the Aralaya is concerned, even the members of the Aralaya knows we fully heartedly involved in that.
What was the political motive behind this?
Behind
the whatever you all championed, you said that you all were fully wholeheartedly behind it.
Yes.
So we believe what was the political motive?
Yeah, we believe there must be a continuation of the Aralaya, because now even if someone making allegations against NPP, they are success, and he said that they are not batting well like that. So because the existing system, the structure itself created these kind of issues.
So in terms of numbers, in your opinion, how many people would have supported you all in terms of the Aralaya in 2022 and 21 in that time? In your opinion, how many people may have supported your party at that time? In terms of numbers, put a figure.
I couldn't get you. What?
No, example, now you say that you all were fully wholeheartedly behind the Aralaya.
Yes.
If that is the case, how many people do you think supported you all?
During the
Aralaya?
During the Aralaya,
we saw hundreds of thousands of people converging to Colombo at the height of the Aralaya, where they invaded the presidential secretariat. They were almost invading the parliament as well. We saw hundreds of thousands of people gathering. So from that hundreds of thousands of people, how many would have been active supporters of the frontline Socialist Party at that time, or the PSA?
Aralaya is concerned, there are multiple political parties, multiple
How many people?
movements.
How many people? Can you put a number?
Basically, the Aralaya had one. As far as the entire Aralaya is concerned, there are one objective, that is to kick off the Gotabaya Rajapaksa's rule. So for that slogan, I think majority of the country gathered around that.
I must add, with regard to that, Nuwan and them played a major role there. Although the NPP hijacked the Aralaya, Nuwan and their team played a major role in keeping the Aralaya going.
So Nuwan, but the real problem is, let's say you all championed this cause at that time and the NPP hijacked it, as Maithri Gunaratne says. My question is, you all were not even able to get 11,000 proper votes at the last election. Doesn't that show that the people have rejected your party?
It's all marketing.
Yeah, that based on now, of course, through now when we carefully go through the conduct of the NPP, for last 5-6 years, their main target was the election. So they are all agenda, propaganda, everything was focused on that. As far as our party is concerned, we believe that is one mode of democracy, elections, but we are forces-based party. We are working with workers, we are working with students, so we always fighting to gain something for that forces. That was our politics. Even the Aralaya, we took that entire Aralaya, the entire gathering as one force, and we actually fully involved in this to achieve that target. So that was our politics. So this is two lines. One party is fully focused on elections. Our party fully focused on the objective of that people. So ultimately, NPP was able to attract that people, because people believed now the best thing is to completely kick off this all establishment, all political parties. In order to do that, NPP is the closest party for that. That's what happened.
But if not for your party's efforts and the efforts of everyone in Aralaya, would the NPP ever have had a chance of coming into office?
No.
The credit should go to the Aralaya. Definitely. I think NPP also, they are not willing to accept that. But we believe this change, of course, a result of the Aralaya.
No, both your party and NPP, they have this left-lean policies, right? The left,
Very
extreme
far
left.
left.
Yeah, very
It's
far.
like the UNP
right?
and the SJB.
Right. But how do you see the way the NPP after winning the election handling the geopolitics and all other policies with regard to the left-lean policies?
Whether NPP is a left party or not, we could analyze only through their propaganda and their manifesto. The NPP manifesto is concerned, it's not a left manifesto, it's a liberal, neoliberal manifesto first. The second is geopolitics is concerned, we were in the policy of non-aligned policy, so we should not be part of these intra-imperial conflicts and other conflicts. We should maintain our own policy and it should be non-aligned policy. But the NPP is concerned, even during the presidential election we raised that they had a pro-Indian policy, pro-US policy, pro-IMF policy. Then we took it as an alarming situation, because those pro-Indian, pro-IMF policies only brought various problems to people of this country. So that has been reflected because of that US embassy when they declared that their people should not travel Sri Lanka, whether they consulted Sri Lankan government. It's an issue. So there was an issue, the Israel issue. There might be an issue like that. If you have a proper foreign policy, if you are capable to handle that, first of all, at least they should consult the Sri Lankan government. It was not happened. So these are the indications they are not properly handling the foreign policy.
Right. So Winston, just to understand, we've just heard about your political party contesting the general election for the first time ever in this country.
No, we contested provincial council.
General election, I'm talking about general election. Now they're talking about young people. We see Maithri, Gunaratne, Nuwan Bopage, very young. What's with your political party? Do you all have young people?
It's like this. Youth, we have in our party 50% is for the youth, 25% for the women, and 25% for the seniors like us. You know, you take Aralaya, you take Rohan Vijayveer, you take Prabhakaran. All these people are young and ultimately no result. They ruined themselves and died and went off. So now these young people will have to understudy the senior people in order to have some guidance. Without guidance, they may not be able to go forward.
What has Sri Lanka learned from these senior people? Example, I'll tell you. R. Sambandan, who was from the TNA. There was a very popular Minister of Tourism from Gampaha district, old. What have we learned? Now, Gami Lopuge is contesting from the national list, from the SLPP, saying that he is too feeble to contest an election. What have we learned? Tell me.
Are you aiming at me to say that I am old enough to...
You can take it any way you want. If you want to wear the hat, it's okay.
No, it is like this.
No, because we're talking about young people. You said that old people, you can learn something.
What he's saying is that you need matured people.
Matured people.
Matured people.
So, otherwise,
you need a mixture
of...
You need a mix.
Now, the thing is, young people will not be able to do it on their own. They will have to have some guidance. Unless otherwise, because the people with experience of, for example, even Ranil Wickremesinghe, no one has that experience. You know, we must respect him for that. Even without just being in the nationality, he became the president. So, you know, there are certain things that you will have to take into consideration. Because,
so this national movement towards youth, because the elderly leaders had led the country astray. You say that this en masse movement towards young leaders is not quite the correct way to go.
Correct.
You need a mixture.
Young leaders will have to be trained to become experienced leaders. all are young leaders.
So you also people like Nuwan Bopage, Tharaka need to have...
Now Tharaka is a young person. I know him very well. And when he was in the UNP also, we were there together. And he's a bright case. He will...
So I'll ask you a very simple question because you say that maturity is important.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is the position of your party with regard to the Prevention of Terrorism Act? What is your position? I'll just mention a few so you can round it up in your answer. PTA, IMF, state sector salaries, pay tax, and fuel prices.
Yeah. PTA, the original PTA was something, was very critical and people were not happy at all. But then some amendment came in. And that one, I think with the amendment, some parties are telling that is strong enough to do that. But I think with the amendments, I think it can be approved, I suppose. Then regarding the IMF, without IMF, the country will not go forward because IMF has to be there and we will have to follow that. But only thing is, NPP is telling that those conditions must be sort of brought down to look after the people, their welfare. But I think those conditions can be changed. Even the IMF itself has said that they are not very particular about the concern. It is the Sri Lankan government that has said this taxation, things like that and all good. But in my opinion, IMF also, you have to consult them nicely and work according to our terms.
So you're saying if you all are in Parliament,
yes,
you all would advocate for a renegotiation of the IMF deal?
Definitely, definitely.
What about state sector salaries and pay tax?
Taxation must be essential for a country to run the country. Taxation is very important.
But taxation which drives millions into poverty.
No, it is. Now, for example, now Gotabaya Rajapaksa brought down the taxation to 8% or something, and as a result, the whole country went...
18%.
18%. Now, the whole country is in this position today is because of that. But
so you all think the 36% has to remain as it is?
Not that way, but to a certain extent, taxation must be done in such a way that the people should not get affected much. Now in this...
Mr. Winston Pathiraja, you're contesting from the Colombo District, am I right?
That's right. I'm the group leader also.
Okay, which electorate are you from?
Kaduwela.
Kaduwela. Do you know how many members in Kaduwela have fallen below the poverty line over the last 2 years?
Exactly, I don't know the figure, but...
Do you know how many members are living down your road who's only having 2 meals a day and not 3?
Yeah, 2 meals a day because the current situation is bad.
Is that acceptable? Is that why we elect governments?
No, it is not acceptable.
Is that why you are coming into power to advocate that?
No, what we try to do is, once you go into Parliament, you must forget about politics. And you all must get together and work together for the good of the people.
But that
has never happened in this particular situation.
I mean, that's a pipe dream. There's no point even in talking about that.
What do you say?
No, but at least all of us are talking of a situation like that, which is good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a case of them taking their parties and their policies only. One thing you all must appreciate is now, as candidates, we are all talking that we must all work together and take this country to a better place. That is the intention why we have come into politics. Otherwise, I don't need to do politics.
Contesting the election is one. Going into Parliament and working together.
We all want to make this a better place.
In our case, we are planning to we are not going to run the government. We are not going to form the government. What we are planning is at least to get 10 or 20 seats, and at strength, we go into Parliament. And then we will see that what all these proposals could be implemented by bargaining with them.
Maithri, when the NPP government was campaigning prior to the elections, they promised heaven and earth. They said that the pay tax threshold is going to be reduced to 24%. and recently whose Tharaka's good friend came on the show, Chaturanga Abhisingh, and said they did not mention about a 24% threshold. They spoke about a 36% threshold, but that 24% to 36%, they will have the tax net a little bit broadened. Then they spoke about the IMF and saying that they would renegotiate the DSA. Then they said that fuel prices, which are at exorbitant prices, will be reduced drastically and given that relief completely to the people. And if that came into effect, a litre of petrol would only be at 195 rupees a litre. Then they spoke about state sector employees' salaries. Now tell me, have they spoken about the pay tax in the last 1 month?
No.
Have they spoken about state sector salaries for the last 1 month? Have they spoken about renegotiating with the IMF for the last 1 month? They have not discussed any of this. So the aspirations of the general public has not been met properly with regard to this government being elected to power. What sort of changes does your party envisage in respect of these matters?
I will, before I answer the question, I will refer to a small post I got today via social media. Horu elwa gatta, ilanga wede pacho elawena එක. So now, your questions.
Like how the pacho kiyanne?
Pacho kiyanne kiyapu deval karapu nathi minissu. Right. So now you ask me 4 questions.
But do you expect within 1 month to do all this?
No. What I'm saying is, if they promised, then they have to implement. Because you have the bond is with the people. They have given a promise to the people that they are going to do it. They are going to change. Okay, we'll say changing the conditions with the IMF. They have promised it, and on stage they were highly critical. But now what have they done? They are now going with the IMF.
But they can't do it without a strong parliament backing them, right?
No, the point is this: they said they are going to renegotiate. Why do you need the parliament to renegotiate? They can go and they can initiate a renegotiation. Nothing like that has happened. They are just following suit. Then, okay, the petrol, Samir asked a very valid question about the petrol prices. They said that they can bring it down by 70%. So, have they done that? So, when you promise, you must deliver. At least deliver 50% of it. And
but
say, okay.
what would your party do about all this? Now, if you are coming to parliament, let's say, hypothetically,
yes,
you get one nationalist seat from all the votes that are counted. I'm sure Maithri would be more optimistic to get more. But let's say you get one seat in parliament as a new political party. What would you all do?
With regard to
all these matters? Would you all voice your opinions?
Oh,
would you all voice your opposition against it?
Definitely.
Because today the people are
the,
watching
the point
the
is
show. They want to know what your plans are.
Amir, if we are in parliament, we will tell the government, this is the track you have to go. You have to increase production in this country. You have to make this you have to make various centers. You can make this this can be a agricultural center in Asia. This can be IT center in Asia. This can be educational center in Asia. This can be a health center in Asia. So there are so many centers you can make this country. And if you have task force working on this, then what is going to happen is we are going to get more and more foreign exchange coming in. Now, for instance, our foreign employment, if we embark on a program where we can train our people, 3 months, 6 months training before they are sent abroad, and if we can send 10,000 to 20,000 people abroad every year, that is the trained people, you are getting maybe 200 to 300% more than the normal just unskilled workers. So we need to put this government or any government on the proper track. That is why we are saying we need to go into parliament. And if we are in parliament, we will definitely advocate that these have to be followed and this has to be done.
Who will be your opposition leader, Maithri?
There is no opposition leader. We are trying to see whether we can once we get into parliament, we'll see whether we can form a government and take this country forward.
Yeah, but would you, if there is an opposition, who do you think the opposition leader is going to be?
Mr. Bopage. We'll make Mr. Bopage the opposition leader. Why go for anyone else? We'll all make it new. Everything let it be new. Let it be new.
This is a big problem because you have two gentlemen on your left and right who are saying Sajith Premadasi is not the option, and you are right in the middle.
But then,
But
as you very
when I'm
correctly
trying to-
said, it's a hypothetical situation where Mr. Gunaratne is the Prime Minister and Mr. Bopage is the opposition leader. I won't want to comment any further on that.
Tharaka, now the NPP party or the President Andakumar Disanayaka, the whole premise of his campaign was anti-corruption, right? Ending the corruption, eliminating corruption, bringing down the stolen assets from the foreign countries. I mean, as the SJB, how do you see this, and what are the measures you will take in your policies if you come to power in the future or even in the opposition?
It's a very pertinent question you asked. Thank you for raising that. And anti-corruption has to be the norm, not the exception. Firstly, as the SJB, we stand firmly in favor of fighting corruption. And when you talk about stolen assets recovery, in fact, I drafted the white paper for the party, so I'm quite aware of the mechanism. Stolen asset recovery was one of the main campaign highlights in the NPP. But it is easier said than done. That they have realized to their detriment. Now they charged Minister Johnston Fernando on a petty issue.
Traffic case.
Traffic, actually a
traffic case.
matter under the motor traffic ordinance, and today he was bailed out. I don't see any problem in that, but they
lost the bigger picture.
The media hype created was, okay, we have arrested so and so for corruption. That was the media picture that NPP created. That has failed miserably in a matter of a week. So therefore, stolen asset recovery is a very complex matter, but it can be done. There is this stolen star initiative.
Yeah, but I don't know whether you know it takes something like 10 years to bring down one asset, and you need to spend something like $1 billion.
I fully agree with you. That is how it has happened. Now, if you take examples, now in Pakistan, assets of the Bhutto family that were found in the United Kingdom were brought back, were cashed and brought back to Pakistan. It took 10 years. But that is not what they promised. This is where the unfairness lies. You create a narrative saying these people have robbed and we will bring that money back immediately to the economy, and then they are speechless once they come to power. That is the problem. You must not lie to the general public. SJB was very clear. We said we are against corruption, but stolen asset recovery will take time. But we will take due steps to obtain international support. You must first locate the assets, then you must establish a connection of the person who's holding it on behalf of a local politician, because no local politician would be foolish enough to have it under their name. Then you have to establish relations with that country where the asset lies, and then finally you take it over according to the law of that particular country, and then you have to manage that asset until it's cashed in. So it's a long process. And what
in
they
other words,
said,
you're saying it will never happen.
No, I'm not saying that.
It will take a long time.
But
I'm only saying it takes a long time. And the NPP clearly misled the public. One candidate, a lawyer, a lady, contested from Colombo District, I forget her name, she admitted in media that they were saying there was money in Uganda and they're going to bring it back. And she admitted that was money printed for the government that was taken to Uganda or somewhere. So this is what is unfair. This is what is unfair. You have misled people to come into power. And governments who have come into power by lying to people have been sent home packing in a very short span of
than they
time.
came.
Best example is President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He used the Easter Sunday fiasco. We don't know to how extent anyone is involved in that. I won't want to comment in that sense. But he used Easter Sunday fiasco to come into power. And in 2 years, people got into the streets. It was a struggle of the people which drove him away. So I would advise NPP, if they care to take my advice, to be very careful.
So my question was about what will be the SJB's policy to address the corruption?
That is what we believe in: stolen assets recovery. We believe in having, because Sri Lanka currently, the CIABOC and all these anti-corruption laws are good enough. It's just that the practice is bad. Now, for instance, during 2015 to 2018, several bribery and corruption cases were filed, which were dismissed on technical issues, not because the case was bad, but because sometimes, say, the law dictates that 3 commissioners have to sign, but only 1 commissioner has only signed. And those were the issues. We must make sure that technical issues do not arise. You must have a particular unit. That's why SJB proposed the establishment of a Director of Public Prosecution, a DPP, independently of the Attorney General, so that there is no conflict of interest where the Attorney General advises the government. And when it comes to combating corruption, sometimes officials who Attorney General have represented in different, I'm not casting aspersions, but who are represented in different capacities will be charged here. So therefore, to create a distinction. So we have had strong policies, and we believe that corruption has to be fought, and we will fight corruption.
So Nuwan, if you look at the stand of the People's Struggle Alliance, just a few weeks ago we had Swastika, who is contesting from the Colombo district, who very categorically said that the NPP has to do more, and you all are looking for a seat in Parliament. You all are looking for a few seats in Parliament because of that. I just want to understand, are you supporting the NPP stand, or are you against the NPP at this election?
We are not going to support NPP because we want to do the role of the opposition.
So you all have decided that?
Yes, while being in the opposition, actually we wanted to raise people's voice inside the Parliament. Whatever detrimental to people, we want to defeat inside the Parliament. And if the government is going on a wrong track, we want to derail them. So that is the objective of the government. Then it's going further.
Derail that government?
If there's a failure of the government, as opposition, what we want to take over it and do it. Because as I said, most of the groups and parties inside the People's Struggle Alliance, they only build the opposition outside the Parliament. They have that experience. These so-called opposition who was inside the Parliament, when they were unable to fight against the privatization, fight against the one labour law, fight against the debt restructuring and curtail the benefits of the EPF, ETF, they were but inside the Parliament as opposition. They didn't do anything. But that role played by us outside the Parliament, then we are entitled and we are capable to do that role inside the Parliament.
Right. So if you look at the government sector, the government sector, you could say many of the trade union actions are usually led by JVP-led trade unions in the state sector, Nuwan. In the last 1 month, we have not seen any protests in Sri Lanka. Very surprisingly, we just heard the news that the railway station masters have called off their strike due to the Deepavali festival, which is falling tomorrow as well. So I'm trying to understand, after Anurakumar Dissanayake has been made the president, the JVP-led trade unions are silent, and there seem to be no problems faced by the people at present.
Now they are not the opposition anymore. Now they are the government. So they have all the institutions, all the mechanism in their hand. So if they can solve these issues of the trade unions, students and other forces, of course there won't be a strike. But
so
we
all
believe
these political parties have had petty agendas, if that's the case.
The thing is, we can't undermine the trade union actions. For instance, now teachers, just two months ago, teachers had their own strike. They want salary hike.
Yeah, but the last 1 month we've not seen anything.
Yeah, of course. Now if the JVP trade unions behind that, if they led that, now they know what are the actual issues. So they have to give solution. Otherwise, we are ready to take over that and fight for the people.
So now, Nuwan, this particular government is more than 5 weeks old now.
Yes.
What is it that they have not done in that 5-week span that you feel they should have done?
No, even at the first instance I said, now it's premature to give understand or give predictions regarding the path of this government. But as I said, if they are running the country based on their manifesto, of course they can't resolve majority of these issues, because we forecasted that, because that neoliberal policy cannot change anything. Now, as you said, but certain indications have already given that they don't have a proper policy. for instance, this IMF issue and the issues such as taxation and the, regarding the PTA. So those indications are not good, because even prior to the election they gave certain promises. Now they are saying they can't implement that. So these indications, the same thing has happened in the Yahapalana period and Gotabaya Rajapaksa. That is the common situation in the, when they come to power, they completely change their mindset. So that's the challenge we have. So that's why we believe that the power of the opposition should be given a proper, honest movements like People Struggle Alliance.
Right. So, Nuwan, what assurance can you give the people? Because you're representing the frontline Socialist Party within the People's Struggle Alliance as well. And we all know how you all have been on the streets for most of the issues. And I don't know why, but you all have been very silent in the last 1 month. Is that because the government is doing something right, or is it because you all now think it's better to support the NPP because you all will also get a few seats here and there in Parliament?
Not silent. The mode has been changed. No, now the election. During the election, we are
usually only during elections we see a lot of protest campaigns.
No, that's wrong. During the election, we raise same thing in political campaigns, in stages, but that doesn't mean that after the election we have to continue with our own struggle for the sake of the people.
So even after the elections, let's say hypothetically, you all don't get any seats in Parliament, you all will continue with the struggle
for last 10 years without single seat only.
Betterment of the people.
We stood with the people, so that doesn't matter.
So Maithri, I'm getting a lot of questions today directed at you. I don't know why that is. The question is,
that means more people know me.
You may have an edge at the Colombo District elections.
Maithri is looking at votes here.
But get this in the right light. Probably they have a lot of concerns with regard to your political party as well, and that is why they're asking you this. How would things be different if Andrakumara Dissanayake was the president, and let's say you are put into those shoes and you don't have, you only had 3 members in the cabinet, and how would you proceed subsequently?
I would have appointed 25 good secretaries to the ministries, and through them you can run the country without a problem, because I must talk with my own experience. When I was appointed as governor to the central province, there was no chief minister, there were no ministers, there were no members of the provincial council, but I was the only person who was running the whole provincial council, and we ran it. People never felt any difference, or they thought it was much better than the provincial council functioning in its full force. So these are only excuses that we don't have a cabinet, we don't have parliament. These are all excuses. In Sinhalese they say natanna beri vinayata polowa edai. So what I'm saying is, if you don't know your job, if you cannot perform, you come out with various excuses. People are not interested in excuses. You need to perform. And to that question, what I'm saying is, if you can choose competent men, you can run this country. And this country, with the mandate Mr. Andrakumara Dissanayake has got, if he cannot put it right in 6 months, then forget about it.
Tharaka, talking about the SJB, in the Sri Lankan history of politics, when you lose 2 presidential elections, you will never be able to get into the saddle again to become the president of the country. Unless otherwise it's a miracle, like how Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected as the president of the country. Given this fact, let's say hypothetically the SJB is not able to create and garner a majority in Parliament, would that mean it's going to be the end for Sajid Premadasa as the leader of the SJB?
No, I don't think so, Shamir, because we had to look at the context again, and he's the second most popular person in the country when you take the presidential elections result. And he is leading the second largest party set up in these elections. And the result, come what may, we believe that we will have a considerable number of seats looking at the result we have a considerable number of seats looking at the result we had, and we have the opportunity of leading an entire opposition which would, if I'm being very hopeful, forgive me, but which would outnumber the number of members in the government. Even if NPP, even if we assume without conceding that NPP wins, looking at the presidential election result and looking at the LPT election result, the local government election result,
no, if you look at the LPT local government election results,
larger.
15 was for the NPP.
Correct.
And 7 for the SJB.
Correct. But you look at the number of votes.
It's 15 all.
Yeah, no, but
17.
15 all, but look at the number of votes.
19,000 and 17,000.
That's right. So when it comes to that equation, the opposition would be large, and we have the opportunity of leading the opposition and keeping the president and his government in check.
But Tharaka, now, a lot of people, like even Maithri Gunaratne, revolted against Ranil Wickremesinghe when he held on to power at the 2010 following the defeat of Sarath Fonseca at the presidential election. And even Winston spoke about he thought it was the best option at that time, the UNP, but then he withdrew from the political party as well. Do you think there would be a revolt within the SJB for the leadership of the political party following the 14th of November elections?
No, I don't think that's likely at all, Shamir, because as I said, Honorable Sajid Premadas is the most popular leader within our party ranks, and the grassroots are with him. And even in 2020, when we formulated the SJB, it was his popularity that garnered us 54 seats. Why I'm saying is that is the stalwarts of the UNP who did not join the SJB in 2020 elections all lost. Akil Viraj, Karyavasam, Nuwan, Vijayawardena, Vajirabhavan, all of them lost the elections, whereas most of the seniors who crossed over to the SJB won. That is because Sajid is a popular leader among the cadres. And I don't think at all, and I don't think it should be the case, that his leadership should be challenged, because as we know, victory has 1,000 fathers, defeat is an orphan. So anyone can blame it on anything. There are issues which we must resolve and go forward. We have one leader,
but
that
you
leader
accept, but you accept there are problems within the party ranks at the moment.
Shamir, after a defeat, any political party would have differences, discussions, falling out. That is only natural. That is only natural. But having said that, we strongly believe that this election is also led by Honorable Sajid Premadas. We strongly believe we can secure a good result in this election, and come what may, I believe the party will be backing him in continuing to be the leader.
Winston, now I saw Anil Kumar Dissanayake saying within a strike of a vote, 60 from the old guard is no more in parliament, and that's thanks to Anil Kumar Dissanayake. So the old guard, people in the likes of Mahinda Rajapaksa is not contesting, Namal Rajapaksa, coming from a political dynasty, is not contesting but is going through the national list. So even he is not sure whether he's going to get a seat in the parliament. So I'm trying to understand What do you think about this development that has taken place in Sri Lankan politics? The old guard is no more from the old parliament.
Well,
and nearly
the situation is this. The old guards, what you mentioned, it is not old or young, is not the question. The corruption. They were very much involved in corruption. It is because of that the people don't want them to be there. It is not because of the age or anything like that. If they were doing well, there wouldn't have been anything. They were.
So all these 60 people are corrupt?
Corrupt. There is nothing, no one is.
So there are people from the SJB also now who are not contesting?
Can't help it. We'll have to.
They're corrupt?
We had to talk about the truth.
He has to substantiate that you must not. I mean, he is not named.
No, I am not naming anybody. No.
I don't.
You said all people.
That.
I said that is the thing.
No, but
if he wishes to name, let's see how he responds.
There are nearly 60 people. So are you trying to say that the members who are not contested in the SJB are also corrupt?
No,
No. First of all, tell me, is it a yes or no? Are you saying that the members of the SJB who are not contesting the upcoming elections are also corrupt?
No, not contesting. It is, while they were in power or they were holding position, they were not doing their job properly.
Yeah, because you said corruption before.
Yeah, corruption.
Now you changed.
No. What I mean is, corruption means it. You have to say corruption. Corrupt people are corrupted, so you can't help it.
Who?
Whoever who had been involved. Now, if you name a person, I will tell you. You name a person.
Maithri Rajapaksa.
Maithri Rajapaksa. I need not tell you even the foreign.
No, I'm just saying one name. You asked me for the name, so I said the most popular person in Sri Lanka at one point was Maithri Rajapaksa. So Maithri Rajapaksa.
He is popular, no doubt. Even the people, even now they want him to be there. But what I say is, during his rule in the country, there were a lot of problems. That is corrupt practices, all that. I don't know whether he did it, but during his time, there were a lot of, even now they talk about that. Corruption is at rampant.
Nuwan, now with regard to the IMF, we saw how promises were made by the NPP saying about they'll discuss with on the DSA, they will look at other options and all that, and it never happened. Yeah. And your political party has been against the IMF right throughout. I want to understand, you all come into power or you all are able to get some seats in Parliament. What would be thinking or the message that you all would like to put out to the public with regard to the IMF's involvement in Sri Lankan politics?
Of course, even during the presidential election, we raised that. First of all, who portrayed the picture that IMF is the solution for this economic crisis? This Ranil Wickremesinghe and his team, together with international sovereign bond holders, only portrayed this picture. So we substantiated with all the statistics, it's not a solution, it's another money lending company. Ultimately what happened, we obtained another $3 billion from IMF with 6.5 interest. And in a country which having $100 billion debt, once again obtained 3 billion from them. Then what are their proposals? Their proposals, we have to, after the year 2028, if let's assume that this government is there, they have to start the repayment of the installments without haircut, without analyzing, without having a forensic audit, without understanding what are the ODS debt, what are the predator debt, nothing. We have to pay. Then they are proposing to reduce the debt burden from to 95% of the GDP. Once it is reduced to that level, we have to pay extra 2% for ISB holders. So all these things are detrimental to people. These are not pro or people-oriented suggestions.
What would you all do differently?
Of course, that's why we suggested, first of all, we have to have a proper forensic audit. Then identify this, because these have been done.
You all will take around 5 or 6 years to do this forensic audit in question.
No. This with the experience of Argentina, we have explained. Argentina, Greece, Ecuador, they did it. Based on that only, we have a rational basis for that.
Now tell me, where is Argentina today?
No, they face.
Tell me where is Argentina?
To get rid from this crisis, it will take time.
4 times bankrupt.
No. To get rid from this, it will take time. It will take time. So
based
even we are
go bankrupt again in 2020.
Even we now, if we want
faster.
whether IMF is there or not, That doesn't mean that bankruptcy would not be happen. Sri Lanka, even the Greece, IMF was there, but it's an utter failure. Now Sri Lanka went to IMF for 16 occasions, but everything is failed. Now what we suggest, we are not just saying.
Let's take India for an example. In 1993, India went for the very first time to the IMF, and look at where the country is today. It reserves 500 billion US dollars.
No, that is not merely because of the IMF.
They were on the brink of bankruptcy.
That is not merely because of the IMF. There are certain other various things. Right. They did a lot of things against the IMF.
I always ask this question from individuals who come on the show. Today you are here, so I'm going to ask you this question, because during the last few times members of your party has been on the show, they've not been able to answer this question.
Okay.
Tell me one country that has done well in the world, one country, based on the policies that you all advocate.
What I'm saying, majority.
No, tell me, no, I don't want majority.
No.
I want
Even
one country in the world. There are 194 countries
now
accepted by the United Nations. There are over 200 countries in the world. From these 200 countries in the world, tell me one country that has done well by advocating your principles that you're talking about.
Now, advocate principles, there are a lot of principles we are advocating.
So tell me
You're
one
asking we are advocating about the free education system. We are advocating of the free health system. Even the Scandinavian countries are concerned, they have implemented that. You all are talking about a far left economy. Not far left.
And now you all have changed that.
Not the word far left has a different meaning now. We are left movement.
Tell me one country that has left principles,
that's why the left
that has done well in the world. One country. I don't want two or three. One country.
No. The question is this. Now
let's take them as an example.
Let me to.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
This is the capitalist world now. This is a capitalism. When you ask during the feudal system whether the capitalist system is effective, answer is no, because there's a feudal system. Then people break that, people collapse the feudal system only, they build the capitalist system. That's the nation. Now this is a capitalist world. But when you go to the France, the left-oriented program, people voted for left-oriented program. When you go to Mexico, people voted for left-oriented. When you go to Brazil, people voted for left-oriented. Even in the UK, lot of left independent candidates won during the election.
Can I give you each example for these countries? Brazil, you are talking about Brazil. You are saying that
the program they presented, people voted for that.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, voting for it is a different story. Whether that policies will work.
No, but what is the indication? People like, even here, Sri Lankan, people like most of the left-oriented policies. They like public education system, they like public health system, they wanted to eradicate.
Just because people like it, you have to keep it.
Of course, we are doing politics for the people. No? Otherwise, we are not doing politics for alien. People like to eradicate the social disparity. People like to eradicate poverty. All these are social concepts of the socialism.
Tell me one example. I just want to understand. I still don't get what you're trying to say. So let's narrow it down. What is the policy of your party with regard to private universities in the country?
It's clear cut. State should take the responsibility from grade 1 to first degree. State should take the responsibility.
First degree?
Yes. State should take the responsibility, because the very fundamental basis is education is not a commodity, it is a service. Irrespective of your wealth, every person should be given that opportunity, given that access. So it's clear cut. No amendment.
Right. So you went to a government school, Nuwan?
Yes.
You have a degree?
You and me went to same school.
You have a degree? You have a degree?
I have 2 degrees.
You have 2 degrees. Both degrees are from the government?
Yeah, Colombo University.
Colombo University, very good. How many members who pass their advanced level examination in the country don't qualify to go to universities in the country?
Of course, that's why we are asking, we are demanding to allocate 6% from the GDP.
And then you all can go out there and then strike
we need more. No, that's not. We need more universities, more state universities. Government should give that. Then why you should have government? So around 350,000 students admitting every year. So why the state can't get the responsibility for that? You should take.
So I'm asking you, Do you know how many members who sit for the advanced level examinations fail the exams? No, I'm asking, do you know how many members fail?
For time being, I can't remember.
So
but
there are 320,000 students who sit for the advanced level examination in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Approximately 40,000 students are eligible to enter universities. The rest of them are not qualified to enter universities in the country.
Okay.
Do you know that students who have failed the examinations, okay, go outside the country, go to countries like Russia, go to countries like Bangladesh, go to countries like India, go to countries like China, do the medical examination, come to Sri Lanka, sit for the at 16 exams and become doctors? And do you know that out of that 40,000 who have been selected, ultimately don't end up becoming doctors in the country because they don't have the money?
Of course. That's what we are saying. You are exactly correct. That's why we are saying government should allocate 6% for the education to expand this, expand more universities, give more access to these people. That's what we are asking.
So,
you are then what you are suggesting? If you fail the exam, if you have money, you go out and get. That is not our policy.
Go out. I'm saying be inside Sri Lanka and have the money in the country itself.
Out or inside, the wealth of the parent should decide whether you should learn or not. Is that a fair country? State should give that equal access to everyone.
Not everyone is smart like Nuwan.
No, that's why government is there. That's why our policy, whether you like it or not. I think everyone like it. Everybody like if government take the responsibility of their students, their children, if given maximum access to the education.
Right.
You also should be satisfied. You need not to work hard and earn more to teach your children, because the state should take the responsibility.
No, because what I have seen, I've been a journalist for the last 20 years, and I have closely watched Sri Lankan politics for the last 30 years because I'm very interested in Sri Lankan politics, and I'm only 39 years old. And I have seen over the last 28 to 29 years in this country, I think even beyond that, Maithri and Winston and Tharaka could talk about it. Every time there is a protest that is held in Sri Lanka, most of the time at universities, you know why? Because they don't have government state jobs. So you're saying the government has to give them jobs also after making them educated?
Number one is government should secure the right for employment, whether it's a private or state. Why there's unemployment? If you are giving 2 minutes, I will explain.
Yeah, okay.
What's the rationale? What is the base? What is the fundamental reason for unemployment? Currently, even in the private sector, the employers who the one employer doing workload of a 5 employer. So as a result of that, four people couldn't get jobs in the private sector. Then
this is a government sector.
No, I am talking about the private sector.
I'm talking about the government
for the sake of
private sector.
For the sake of
tell me one private sector company.
For the sake no, what I am saying is, let me to explain. For the sake of profit, to earn the profit, the exploitation level is very high. How they exploit the people? One person is working 15 hours in some institutions. As a result of that, he is doing the job that can be done by 4 persons. As a result of that, 4 other persons lost their jobs. So that is the very fundamental basis under capitalism for unemployment. Yeah, so if we eradicate
based
that,
on what you're saying,
really, then only they be having massive profits in their companies.
Okay.
So we won't dilute that. We should give opportunities to the people. We should create more jobs. So in order to do that, we need a proper solution, proper system instead of capitalism.
Coming from the private sector, I think Maithri also comes from a plantation sector background. If you're not making enough profits in the private sector, there's no point of maintaining that business. So you have to at least, it's better to put your money, park it outside, park it in a Park it in a bank rather than making money.
You have to think like that. No, our system is different.
Right.
Main thing is not the profit.
I agree. No,
main thing is not the profit.
Yes, okay.
To build a society which everyone is happy.
Just 1.1. We have many state universities, but when you look at their global rankings, it's nowhere close to.
Of course.
Yeah, and we had far better rankings in the 1950s and 1960s for our state university.
Because we allocate only 1.8% from the budget. So we have to enhance that. We have to allocate more for the education. And research sector, we are allocating only 0.01.
Okay, we are running out of time, so I'm just going to have the final say from Winston, Nuwan, Tharaka, and Maithri Gunaratne. So, out of the 4 from here, 3 are contesting from the Colombo District. If the people are to vote for you at the upcoming elections, why should they vote? And why should they vote for the National People's Party? Winston?
Yeah. Number one is that we all are highly educated and experienced people. If you take me, I was very much involved in parliament work, very much involved in ministries. So in that case, we know what is expected of us. So in our party, all our candidates in the Colombo district are qualified and they are fit to be in parliament. And the other thing is, our idea is not to form a government or anything, because we are contesting only 7 districts. So in that case, we want to get about 10 or 15 seats and then go into parliament, where we have to see at that time what the situation is. But anyway, our idea is to be in the opposition and to sort of guide the government in many ways through our experience to deliver goods. That is our position. But now the position here is, now during that 19 months of presidency of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, not a single development work in the sense industrial sector or nothing of that sort came in. 19 months, if you can't do it, you can work with the IMF, you can do anything. But at the same time, simultaneously, they should have done the development work also. But they have...
With a bankrupt state.
Yeah, they have failed very bad.
With a bankrupt state.
Yes, no, bankrupt. Now the thing is, now the investors, the current situation in this country is not feasible for conducive for the investors to come in. But to do that, the country's economic situation must be perfect. Corruption and all that must be stopped. Exports, we have to start export-oriented economy. All that is not there. This is the whole trouble. And in addition, I will add one point. Since I was involved in the constitutional reform, I must say this executive presidency is a curse. It has to be abolished. And the whole powers is in one person. If the person is good, of course it's good. If the person is bad, that is the end of it.
Is Anukumar Dissanayake good or bad?
No, the Anukumar Dissanayake, we can't talk anything much about him because we had been there for only 1 month. Within 1 month, it is very unfair on our part to even say that they are not delivering the goods because they have no time. With the three cabinet ministerial position, what can they do? They are still waiting for the parliament to come in. But I don't know what the results will be. But
not until the cows fly over the moon.
No.
Only until the 14th of November.
No.
Right.
If they get 150 seats.
150 seats?
If they get 2/3 majority, it will be a downfall for the whole thing.
Okay.
But
right. Thanks a lot, Winston. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Nuwan Bopage, representing the People's Struggle Alliance and the Colombo District leader. Why should people vote you in?
Colombo is the economic hub of the country. The capital city is here. But at the same time, the Colombo, we can see the social disparity is very high in the Colombo. From high-rise luxury building to shanties, flats, everything is here. From so-called international schools, there are schools without having a shelter. At the same time, there are areas which doesn't have medical cover. At the same time, we could see transportation, environmental issues are concerned. Colombo is the city which having all these issues. Therefore, first of all, we have to eradicate this social disparity. So you need a proper plan, you need a proper alternative plan to eradicate that. At the same time, the Colombo city is concerned, the 10% Muslims are there, 10 Tamils 10%. So as far as the national question, the ethnic oppression is concerned, Colombo city is one of the main cities that we have to eradicate that. So we need a proper solution for national question as well. Thirdly, the environment is concerned, Colombo have certain Ramsar protected areas, and the environment level has been drastically going down. People are suffering because of that. Therefore, we want to protect the environment of the Colombo. So as far as all these things are concerned, we need a group, we need individuals inside the parliament who can raise their voice for the sake of the Colombo people, for the sake of the environment, and for the sake of eradicating poverty and all those things. Therefore, People Struggle Alliance, in their manifesto, clearly one by one sorted out as to how we solve the economic issues, as to how we give a proper solution for national question, at the same time as to how we protect the environment. So if the people wish to give that power inside the parliament, we are always ready to raise that, and we are ready to solve these issues in Colombo people.
Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Nuwan. Attorney at Law Tharaka.
Yes, since I'm not voting and not contesting, I will
you could talk on behalf of the
why SJB should be voted
party.
in. Particularly, I believe that this is an election where sanity should prevail. In the presidential election, we saw a vote of emotion, a vote of frustration, a vote of hatred, which drove the people to vote in favor of the NPP, even though they did not get the statutory majority of 50% in the first round. However, we are a country that is facing a grave economic situation. Nothing has come into normalcy just because we have 24 hours of electricity, just because we have a fuel supply uninterrupted. It does not mean we have reached normalcy as a state. The NPP interim government has clearly shown in a period of a few weeks that they are not, to say the least, they are not experienced enough to handle intricacies of an economy. And therefore, we would invite the general public of Sri Lanka to vote for the SJB in order to have a good balance in the political system and to ensure economic development and to ensure that Sri Lanka does not fall into difficulties again.
Thank you very much, Tharaka Nanayakkara, Attorney at Law, representing the SJB. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council, representing the United Freedom Front.
Samir, first of all, we were not going to contest this election until the NPP came out with the slogan that they want a 2/3 or a 5/6 majority. 2/3, 5/6 majority, whenever the people have given it to the ruling party, has taken this country to ruins. So therefore, why we are contesting is no 2/3. As a political party, if this government wants support for the good things they do, in parliament we'll certainly support their good things, support good projects and help them. But if the people give a 2/3 majority, Samir, then as a country we are doomed. Our neighboring India, Prime Minister Modi, he doesn't have even a proper majority to run the country, but they are running it extremely well. So there is no need for the Sri Lankan voter to give the president a 2/3 majority. If they are interested, they can give a majority where they can run the country, but certainly not a 2/3 majority. And the other thing is, the people of this country flock to the streets, and what was their call? This 225 must go. The 225 must go. I reckon out of this 225, 175 will never see parliament again. So then the people of this country have to choose new candidates to come into parliament, new members in parliament. So as people who have, as persons who have been always involved in politics, as professionals, it's a very difficult and daunting task to contest an election like this, which is in the whole of Colombo District. It costs a hell of a lot of money. We are contesting it because we want to be a voice in Parliament, and I have a personal responsibility to do something for this country before we depart. So that is why we are contesting. That is why we are asking the people of Colombo, the Colombo district, and we are contesting 12 districts in Sri Lanka for them to vote for the spectacle symbol and to make this change, and to the system change which they envisage. We will see to it that is established in these 5 years of governance.
Thank you very much. President's Council Maithri Gunaratne, representing the United National Freedom Front. He's a leader. He's also the former governor of the Uva province. Attorney at Law Tharaka Nanayakkara, representing the SJB. Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage, representing the People's Struggle Lands, as well as the Colombo District leader of the party. Winston Pathiraja, representing the National People's Party. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening.